Welcome back, everyone, to the Charismatic Voice. I am joined today by Angus McSix. Thank you, Angus.
Oh, hello, Elizabeth. Great to see you again.
Great to see you, too. I am so excited for the new music you are putting out for this recent album release. It's super, super awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
You've already listened to it, I guess, then.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I was blasting it during breakfast time with my baby son this morning, and he was smiling so hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a metal fan.
Everyone else hates it already, right?
I think that my husband might have gotten mad when it was louder than one of his phone calls. But he wasn't actually. He was like, "Oh, yeah, this is cool music. Oh, it's kind of hard to talk." It was amazing.
Do you have neighbors next to you, like next door or something? So they have to listen to the music as well?
They do sometimes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's opera and high notes, and unicorns singing opera high notes. I mean,
I'm sure they love that. Because I remember when I had neighbors, they always hated when I made music. It's probably my singing, I guess.
I don't think so. But your singing is loud and very powerful.
It's very loud. Yes. Yeah, it is. That's true. And probably that's the problem. As a singer, you know it yourself. When you practice at home, it always sounds awful, because it's just so loud. It sounds great to us as singers, but to everyone else who's next door, they just hear some frequencies and it sounds awful, I guess.
Right. You're like, they just get the leftovers out there. I used to sing in an apartment in LA that was in this valley, and I could hear echoes happen across the valley. It was, I know, everyone got to hear practice, but you got to practice.
Well, I guess your voice is like a very trained opera voice, and it probably sounds very lovely. I've never heard you sing.
Oh, really?
I think about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There are some clips on YouTube, but I have to say, while I was pregnant and right after giving birth, I didn't do as much singing. So I've been getting back in shape recently,
right.
And it's really nice to get back to it. I don't have acid reflux from being pregnant anymore, so that's great. And I'm a little less.
You look like you're in great shape. You look like you're in a great shape now, especially with your horn.
I know. I feel like
I really love it.
I've brought some nice additions. I've grown in great ways.
It's awesome. I expect you to show up at Wacken like that this year.
I will try.
That'd be so awesome. At least for our show, That'd be so great.
I feel like I owe this to you because I remember when I met you at Bloodstock a couple years ago that you mentioned that you were expecting a unicorn costume, and I felt like I let you down.
I mean, even that you showed up was great because I didn't expect someone to come from all the way from America to watch our show. And even, the last show I've ever done since quite a while.
I didn't know it at the time, though.
Yes,
yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that moment, I asked you around that time if you'd be open to doing a Tea Time interview, and it's taken us all this time to make it happen. We were waiting for the right thing to come out to talk about.
Yes, and the good thing is you got your own unicorn cup now, I see.
I actually got this in London afterwards. I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so perfect. So I've been saving it for almost 2 years. And it has tea in it.
Oh.
What have you got with you?
What kind of tea?
Oh, this is a white tea. It's a silver needle white tea. Yeah. It has a little more caffeine and a little bigger punch. Yeah. I need
we'll need that because our interview will go for 2 hours at least, I guess, right?
Yeah, or 2 days maybe. We'll probably need more caffeine.
Yeah, I got a whole kettle full of tea, and got some black tea in it. Black tea with some spices. I don't even know what spices, but it's really a fancy tea from Switzerland. It's called Sirocco. You've ever heard of that tea?
No, Sirocco. I haven't. I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's crazy expensive, but it's the best tea you can get.
Okay, so you're a bit of a tea aficionado then.
Yeah. I drink tea every day, 3 times at least.
This is very exciting. I'm going to make some notes here. First, I'm going to cheers you, and I'm going to say thank you for bringing back Angus McSix.
Oh, thank you for having me here tonight.
It is fun to drink tea from a goblet. Okay, I need to know because this is going to happen. What are your favorite kinds of teas?
My favorite kind of teas is actually just black tea, but basically it has to be black tea with spices, as I already said. It's like black chai tea, I guess it's called in the USA. I'm not even sure what you call black tea with spices where you live.
Well, we say chai as well,
chai, yeah.
But there's also so many different kinds of spices. Like I have sort of a strange one that I got around Valentine's Day that has raspberry and chocolate and a little bit of cherry with the black tea. It's very interesting. Huh?
Yeah, I probably would love chocolate tea. You know, I'm a Swiss, so chocolate tea would make sense to me.
Right? Chocolate tea is wonderful. Oh, there's I also love hazelnut and chocolate together, obviously. So Nutella tea. Now, that would be special.
That would be great, yeah. And you also put some milk in it. I can't drink normal milk because, you know, it's just not good for my stomach. But I drink soy milk with it. Black tea with soy milk. Yes.
Okay. And are you lactose intolerant? Is that why it doesn't work with your stomach well?
Not only lactose, it's more like milk protein, actually. So I found this out like only a couple months ago because before just drank it and thought, I felt a bit bad. But it's not a big thing. But then I went to the doctor and he made a blood test and he said, you know, you're actually milk protein intolerant. All right.
So like
bad thing to happen.
Or is it whey or there's another one.
Whey protein is something else, I guess, right? So milk protein is in everything that's made of milk.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what the protein is. I can't remember what it is right now, but I gotcha. Okay, so your body doesn't like milk protein and you've switched to soy. Have you noticed that is the flavor of the soy okay with your tea still?
Yes, I had to get used to it.
Yeah.
It was a bit different. But now I actually think I prefer to have soy tea or soy milk tea.
Okay. And of course, this is all as Angus McSix. You're talking. I mean, you have a lot of knowledge about tea. It's such a man. It sounds like Switzerland tea is that's the place that Angus McSix likes to go to for tea.
I actually think Thomas and Angus McSix have something in common, at least. So it's the soy milk tea.
Yeah, I think it sounds like from what I've heard, Thomas Winkler and Angus McSix are great friends.
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times, and he seems to be, quite okay guy. So, yeah. So
you grew up together.
He's actually next door now. He's not far away.
Yeah, not so far. So, okay. Maybe we'll get to say hi later. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We can get him.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I'm so happy to really actually get to meet Angus McSix for the first time because I feel like I've had some interactions with your predecessor.
Oh, really? What was he called?
Angus McFife, I believe, was the predecessor.
Right. Yes, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
This guy.
So you have come back from the realm of martyrs, essentially, at this point, right?
So you've read the story?
Yeah.
You heard of the story?
I read the story a few times. It's cool.
Did you get the actual booklet from the CD?
No.
No?
No, but I would like said booklet.
Actually, when we meet at Wacken, I'll bring you a CD because you have to have the booklet to actually understand the complete story, the lore.
I mean, I've also read lots of things. Will you sign it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Major score. Woo! That's amazing. I love all that you put into telling us your story. Is that something that you write down in your own words, or does somebody else help with that?
Most times it's actually me, but sometimes I also ask Thomas to, just give me some ideas. And he's got not much time because, he's a lawyer in Switzerland, so he's a lot occupied with this law shit stuff. I say shit? No, sorry.
Totally fine.
I can't because I'm Angus McSix, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
But yeah, mostly it's me writing the lyrics. And the good thing is, I also met another guy. He's quite evil, though. He's like called Sebulon. But he's writing the music for us for my new band. I'm quite glad because, I got no time to write music myself.
Just got to sing it.
I got to sing it. That's right.
Right? Okay. So in your newfound camaraderie, we have 4 different people whose names I recently totally butchered in a video. So can you run me through your band members? Or your members in fighting the evil? Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the real names, right? Like Sebulon. Sebulon, he is the most evil guy. He's the origin of all evil, actually. So, unfortunately, I met him, but it turned out he's a great songwriter, so I'm kind of okay with it now. But at first, it really sucked. I just let him go out of the hell of hell. He's an archdemon.
Oh, boy.
He's a pretty bad guy. He's playing the guitars and the bass and the keys and the triangle on stage, everything at once. Pretty talented guy.
The hardest job, obviously, is the triangle.
Yeah.
And that one's tough.
It's pretty tough. It's tough.
Don't, at the wrong moment, everyone's going to know.
Yes, exactly. When you're a musician, then you can hear all those, special notes.
Right.
Then we have our wonderful, beautiful Thalestris. Mm-hmm. So she's the queen of the laser Amazons of Caledonia.
Amazons. Laser,
yeah, it has to be laser, of course.
Do they have dinosaurs?
The laser Amazons? Nah, they're not familiar with them.
Oh, okay.
They're riding on eagles, usually.
Mm-hmm. But you conjure.
What is that?
I said you conjure these eagles sometimes, correct?
Yes, it seems so.
It seems so. Okay.
Thalestris, she is, quite good warrior princess or queen, actually. And I think without her, I wouldn't probably have a chance against Sebulon. Because she's got the charisma that just shines through everything and also makes Sebulon go away from me, I guess.
You gotta have good colleagues to help make everything incredible.
I'm really glad to have her on stage with me in battle. And then we have another guy. He's really buff.
Right.
And maybe you've seen some. Yeah, maybe you've seen some pictures of him. He's called Ska, and
Ska.
That's the only thing he's able to say. Ska. Sounds really stupid, but that's what it is.
It's like Hoder, but score.
Yeah, he's that guy, and he's a berserker coming from the north, very buff guy, and all he can do is basically beat up people. So bad guys, hopefully.
Good, hopefully. I mean, yeah, you have to direct that energy somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Or bad guys, or he can beat up drums, because I've seen him beat up drums, and he does it quite well.
You've already seen a video, or the live video, even.
Yes.
Nice.
I was like, oh, no wonder he's buff. He's spending the whole day beating up drums.
Yeah, that's probably why. Either it's drums or it's goblins. I don't know. He also seems to practice with goblins sometimes, at least.
Yeah. That's good. That's necessary, I think, in his line of work.
It helps, definitely.
This is incredible. So you basically, your predecessor, went to the realm of martyrs. I guess had deceased there, essentially. And I'm very curious. While you were hanging out there, did you meet Odin? And did Odin have anything to say about your appearance in Valhalla?
Hear my voice, this is Odin calling you. Times have changed, I'm a gentle dog. No more war, just design of furniture. Master almighty. Just like Jesus, I'm a carpenter. Forging towels with the hammer of Thor. Gloria Padre Furniture, Ibis Nomina Ikea. For the wedding and the giving, sing with me the hallelujah. From the moon and candy match with star and space and paper.
Odin. Question. You know what? I was in a delirium when I died, so I couldn't really see things clear. But I had a vision at least.
Oh.
I had a vision of a sword. It wasn't about Odin; it was more about the sword. And I thought this sword would actually be the thing to seek, to search, because this would be the ultimate weapon to have a chance against the origin of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened. The Odin story, it's all gone in my memory.
It's all very foggy. Well, if you ever feel like remembering it, this was actually the first moment I ever heard someone of your lineage sing, and it blew me away. It was such a cool entrance, and I highly recommend to everyone that they check out the moment when you come in and sing about IKEA.
IKEA is a good story, actually.
Yeah, really. Yeah, very powerful.
Very, very powerful.
Right, it's amazing. Okay, but so you remember essentially coming back to existence, thinking, dreaming about this sword. What's the name of the sword?
It's called Excalibur. Of course, it's called Sixcalibur. I've never heard of another sword called Excalibur, but it's called Sixcalibur. This one, and it's quite a great sword. I really dig it. It's great also in length. It's so big actually that on stage I nearly have problems wielding it around without hurting it.
I had a question for you about that actually. Okay, so if you have a large sword or perhaps a large hammer at one point, if you have something like this on stage, do you have to pick key moments to wield it that aren't going to interrupt your vocal, powerful lines? Or can you do both at the same time and not really think about it?
That's actually tough. I wasn't worried that much about the vocal performance, but more about actually killing someone on stage. Because it really depends on the stage size, So if we are at Wacken, it's no problem, of course, to just run around and wield everything around you want. But when you're in a smaller venue, like maybe 1,000 capacity or whatever, and then you wield a sword around, it's even dangerous to not hit the audience sometimes.
Well, but this is not the version that we see on stage is probably not as sharp as the real version.
It is quite dangerous, even the stage version.
Okay.
It could kill someone.
Terrifying. Have you knocked any microphone stands over?
Not yet. I'm looking forward to the moment. It will happen for sure. At some point.
Maybe I'll get to see it.
At Wacken, maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, we have some awesome stuff planned for Wacken for real now. But if it will happen or not, it all depends on some people that are working on it right now, and I'm not sure if it will happen. But if it happens, it will be so awesome. Like, I think never have people seen something awesome as that at Wacken, like real dinosaurs.
No.
Yes.
Are they undead?
No, they're not undead, but they're laser shooting.
They're laser shooting. Okay, yeah. This rings a bell. I feel like there's a song about this somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Some laser shooting dinosaurs or dinosaurs that shoot laser. It's about.
Stupid name, eh?
No, it's a great name. You want to know what the first song I listened to on the album was?
Yes. What was it?
I was like, what? Dinosaurs? Lasers? What? I got to know about
it. Was a laser
this.
shooting dinosaur?
Yes, it was.
All right.
And I was like, are we going retro with the sound? What were we doing? It was really fun.
That was actually a song that I wanted to write for about, I think, 7 years already. I think 2016, I had the idea about the laser shooting dinosaur. And I mentioned it to my old band colleagues, and they said, we can't do this, and it's stupid. And then we forgot about it. And then another band came up, another power metal band, and they picked up the idea, I think from an interview I did, because I mentioned a laser shooting dinosaur there, that they have laser shooting dinosaurs in their songs now. Then I thought, I could still do a song about a laser shooting dinosaur. I just asked Sebulon, because he's the songwriter mostly, he's writing the music. I said, Sebulon, would it be nice for once and write me a song about a laser shooting dinosaur? And he said, then the next day he came up with a great melody. When I watch my phone, do I have a phone as an Angus McSix? I'm not sure, but yeah, I looked at my phone and saw a message coming up from Sebulon. And he said, yeah, here you go. And I listened to it. I said, instant hit. Let's do this.
Oh my gosh, that's so
there
perfect. We go. I love it. I love the entire idea, and meeting a real dinosaur that shoots lasers in real life at Rocket. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm a bit scared of it already, but
right?
Let's hope it works.
I hope so. Otherwise, it sounds like we might destroy an entire population. Speaking of which, I wonder if maybe you had to get rid of some of your guilt in the afterlife from allowing the unicorns to take over.
When did they take over?
Oh, at one point, it was your predecessor. I believe that they essentially undead unicorns. They stampeded into Dundee and just destroyed everything. Everything.
Oh, yes. I remember that vaguely, but yeah.
Vaguely. Well, I was going to suggest that maybe for this next part of life, you have Sixcalibur now, and an entire song about Sixcalibur too. That's really incredible. But I think you might need another sword, just in case the unicorns come back. And this sword is called the Sword of Hearth and Home. It costs 3, and it's an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and white. And the reason this goes together, the Sword of Hearth and Home, is because if we talk about some unicorns, they're green and white. And Lethiel, the Bounteous Dawn, legendary creature, right? This is very important for a unicorn deck. It has lifelink, and it also lets you add +1/+1 counters on a number of target creatures. So this would be very, very hard to defeat as Angus McSix unless you had this. So the Sword of Hearth and Home, very, very important. I hear that you might be able to get this in some sort of magical card game.
So you're saying unicorns are usually green or white?
Well, yeah, I don't know. If they're undead, maybe they have
maybe
extra
silvery
powers. Maybe they're silvery. Some unicorns are rainbow and robotic, and they can be found jumping amongst clouds and jumping amongst the Chiricahuas in Arizona. So
in Arizona, they know you have unicorns as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a normal thing.
well, actually, now to look at you, yeah, could be true.
right. But let's have a conversation about swords. And what makes a sword great? Why is Sixcalibur incredible?
I mean, what makes a sword great in general? It really depends, I guess, on the sword. I wouldn't say swords are great in general. There are some impractical swords. But Sixcalibur is just that kind of sword that can do magic as well. Because when I pulled it out from the demon skull, it didn't only turn back time to the beginning of time, but it also transformed me to a better version of myself. And this is the best, someone or something can do. Just upgrade yourself. Yeah.
Oh, someone or something. Like, oh, that was a really sweet romantic thing. Like, oh, someone could help me transform into the best or better version. Okay.
Yeah, you probably have watched the video, I guess, Sixcalibur. So it kind of looks like I'm in a homoerotic relationship with a sword. And that's kind of true, you know. So that. I really dig that sword already.
It's a great sword. And does it get stronger as you destroy things?
Yeah. You've read a lot. That's actually true. So with each time I hit an enemy, it gets leveled up. So it starts with the level 6. You got the 6 on the sword, and each time that's how it works. And each time you hit a few enemies, it gets a bit upgraded until you reach the final level, which is the 6th stellar sigil level.
Mm. Mm.
And you can see, I think you can see it in the laser shooting dinosaur in the video, how it will look then. Oh, yes. Actually, we'll have another video come out at the end of May, I think, or maybe beginning of June. And there you will see some more functions of the sword.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's cool. Good. Well, okay.
Yes.
I'm wondering, I know that maybe in your conversations with Thomas Winkler, you became obsessed with swords fairly early on. Was this something that comes from Zelda and from Link?
Now that you mention it, yes. Actually, yes. Yeah, I mean, even my old armor, when I remember correctly, was green. It had something to do with my love for The Legend of Zelda, Link especially. There was always, I think Link was always the kind of icon I looked up to and said, when I'm becoming big, I want to become Link. So that was the main reason I actually searched for a green suit when I started out as Angus.
Perfect, right? A green suit, Angus, Link, lots of similarities.
Makes kind of sense. Yeah? Are you a gamer as well? Do you play The Legend of Zelda?
I played the very, very first one a lot. The very
first one on the NES?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I thought you were just 22.
It's all the unicorn juice.
That helps. Oh, yeah. Speaking of.
Mm-hmm. Right. Beautiful. I played the original quite a bit. It was rather difficult, I must say.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's probably easier to play, right?
I think so.
The new games.
Yeah. Let's see. For games right now, I'm very excited about the impending release of Diablo 4.
All right.
Really excited.
There is a thing. I never played Diablo myself, but in Diablo 3, there was a sword that was, first of all, I searched for a cool sword when I tried to find a sword. And then I came across this sword. I can't really remember the name of it, but it was the sort of some angel. Tyrael, maybe.
Tyrael, yeah. Tyrael has a sword thing, and that's going. I mean, I was thinking about the pig sticker. That one's really fun, but that's a different sword. There's also there's an Archon sword, maybe, or perhaps there's. Oh man, I'm trying to remember all those swords. I think Thunderfury as well. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool swords, and Tyrael has a massive sword.
What is it called, though? Can you remember the name of the sword? I have a replica of that sword in my basement.
No way. Okay, just a second. Yeah. This is a very handy thing. I have a thing that might help me search for the name of this sword.
Called internet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Eldruin, the sword of justice.
That's it.
Oh my gosh.
So at first, I really thought this sword would be perfect, for me as Angus McSix.
Uh-huh.
Then, it turned out it wasn't mighty enough. So we had to find a mightier sword that looks more impressive on stage as well.
Amazing. Why didn't you choose a lightsaber?
Maybe next album.
It would have been great for the laser shooting.
That's true. That's actually a great idea. The next upgrade is the lightsaber.
Lightsaber, right? Oh man, you can even get a double-sided one. Go full Darth Maul.
For the next album, we could actually do that because we want to go to the future with the next album. At the moment, we're stuck in the past, like in the at the beginning of time, and it gets a bit boring. So we need to come to our current time, and everything's possible there.
I really feel like it's timeless. That was one of my big takeaways. Like, yeah, there's things that feel ancient, but there are things that feel steampunk, right? It feels timeless.
Yeah. I'm sure you know about the Masters of the Universe series as well, like He-Man. Heard of that?
I was a really big fan of She-Ra growing up. Like,
really
big. I had her sword.
You had it? Oh, right.
Yeah. I totally had She-Ra's sword. It's
I was a He-Man fan, of course, as a boy. But...
Hence, Master of the Universe.
There you go.
Yeah, when that one happened, I was like, I know exactly what he's talking about. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it just brings up the nerd in me, I guess, because it remembers me when I was 6 years old. I think I started playing with those action figures. I had a lot of them, and I still have a lot of them actually. It's just so great to being able to bring those characters to life now in a different environment.
Yep. It's like almost you get to write a new story in some ways, which is super cool.
Yeah. It's just an homage to He-Man. It's got nothing really to do with it, but we're thinking about having more characters for our band coming up in in the future. So we might have characters called. Can I tell this already? I'm sure, but Drinkord. Drinkord. He's a guy who likes to drink, So it'll be all blue.
Does it give him like a special power when he drinks?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm not sure which one yet, but there has to be some power coming with it.
The power of a mighty belch that gets stored up and then is released and vanquishes all enemies within 3 meters.
That's actually a good idea.
This is perfect.
Can I hire you for creative ideas?
Anytime you want to talk about creative ideas that are super nerdy, I'm always down. Always.
Awesome.
These swords, I don't even know if they'll be in frame ultimately when this gets published. We'll see. But they're on either side of the case. I have 2 shard blades, and I have to make a case for them possibly being the best swords, right? They effortlessly will cut through any inanimate material. So anything that's not living, right? It cuts through like water. It's just beautiful. They can also change, depending on if you've bonded them or not. They can change shape to whatever you need at the moment. So if you need like a little tiny dagger, or if you need a spear, like it can change shape, which is incredible. And
handy.
Once if somebody really deserves like Zebulon, for example, if Zebulon really needs to be sent back, it's not just going to kill Zebulon, it's going to destroy his soul. I think
Really?
that would be good. Yeah.
That would be better than Excalibur, which is impossible. If you show me this sword, it's impossible. If you show me this sword, I might rethink, but I can't imagine.
It's pretty tough to imagine, I think. Yeah.
But just wait until you see the next video and all the functions that come with Excalibur, and I'm sure you'd be a bit jealous.
Maybe
when you compare it to your sword. Then
I probably. I look forward to seeing that video. That's going to be fun.
I hope so. I haven't seen it yet, but I've wrote a little bit of it. So I know what's going to happen. Yes,
this is incredible. Well, I think in assembling your group of fighters together and archenemy, I'm really curious to ask you, what traits do you look for when finding a great colleague that you want to work with on such a majestic adventure?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, because I was just a bit...
No worries. I elaborated it. What makes a good colleague is the real question.
What makes a good colleague?
Yeah.
It really depends what his task would be in your party.
Oh.
So, if it has to be a warrior, I guess he's got to be strong, like a buff guy, for example, like the buff berserker from the north, Skull. But it would also be nice to have someone who's able to wield a weapon correctly.
Yeah.
Which
you don't want
be Skull.
Oh no?
Nah, he's just able to beat goblins to death, but that's it basically.
Okay. I'm guessing there needs to be some sort of healer at some point, right?
Yeah, actually true. Yeah, I think who would be good for that? I don't think we have anyone who's good for that in our party yet. So we might need you as a unicorn. I'm sure you can heal with your horn.
That or impale. Right? It's really one way or the other.
Well, I already do that with my sword, so...
Okay. Well, then I guess it's a healing horn.
Let me quickly ask, is the light still bright enough here? Because we're slowly getting to the sunset. So can you still see?
Really good. Clearly? Yeah, the light of day is continuing to make you shine like a god.
Right, awesome. Like a god?
Yeah, like a god. Poor Odin, watch out. Amazing. Okay. Awesome. And maybe like creatively, you mentioned that you like having a colleague that is able to really get in the fray, perhaps. Warrior is available there. But what about a colleague that's going to make music with you? Do you want a colleague that takes your ideas about dinosaurs and lasers and turns a song around right away? Is that like the ideal colleague?
Yeah, if he wouldn't be the most evil guy in the universe, then I would say yes. Like that, it makes him not an ideal colleague. I have to work with him. Let's say it like that.
You can't deny the talent, so you'll just have to continue on.
Yes, exactly. Guess he's got a good side, at least, in the end.
Oh, yeah.
He's able to write good songs.
I love it. Does he write the vocal line, the melody of it, or do you?
I usually do myself. For this album, it's really tough, actually. I think most things were written by Seb musically, but I then added my own vocal lines usually. Because when I write lyrics, I have my own vocal line in mind already. So it needs to be done this way. Otherwise, it will be really hard to adapt the lyrics to the other idea of Seb.
Yes. It's super hard to do that. And so that's why usually the person that's doing lyrics also is doing vocal line. But sometimes there are incredible combinations that happened a lot in history and opera, actually. But today I think most lyricists are also writing melodies.
I think so. I'm not sure how other bands do it, but I'm doing it like that myself. So I can just speak for me. And beside that, I'm really not the great, composer or anything because I don't play any instruments. beside vocals.
Yeah,
That kind of
precisely.
stuff.
What just happened? That was really good, right?
Oh, thank you.
And then you, from the very first moment I heard you, and I even listened to this excuse me. From the very first moment I heard your friend, Thomas Winkler, who I think has influenced your vocals a lot, I felt extremely impressed by range, power, support, all the things. But I went back and thought, has he always been this good, really? Is this like... And I found Thomas Winkler singing with a Chinese power metal group.
Oh,
And-
right.
Right? Do you remember
I've heard of
time
that.
he sang with them?
I've heard of it. Yeah. I've heard of this Bark of Dante, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Right.
You are walking along the way of your life, but the farther you're going, the more you understand. You are walking along the way in search for peace of mind, on a journey that will never
Even in the opening of that, Thomas Winkler was making these huge leaps that most people would find extremely difficult. But he just did it. Was like, yeah, well, whatever. I didn't even know that it's supposed to be difficult. And had incredible power and cleanliness of sound already. And it just... So was this something you believe came to Thomas Winkler very naturally?
It might have to do with his past, because I heard he's a big fan of, all those classic power metal singers, especially also Iron Maiden, which is not classic power metal in the nowadays sense, but he was back then, I guess. So, Bruce Dickinson was a big idol. So when he found out that he could do the same stuff, I think it was like 6 years old, he said in an interview. I'm not sure if this is true, but it could be. He said he was trying to, do the same stuff, and he came up with the idea that he could become a singer himself, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? But in the end, it happened somehow.
But just in case, he decided he should get a law degree as backup.
Yes, because his parents apparently told him that music is not a job. You can't live from it. You have to make a living with something serious.
Something very serious.
So,
Was there a special area of law that he focused on?
In Switzerland it's a bit different than in the USA, as far as I know. In the USA, it's called a normal lawyer who does properties and heritages and wills and that kind of stuff, and founding companies. I'm not sure what you call it, but I think it's a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So, where Thomas comes from is the canton of Bern in Switzerland, and there it's called a notary. So it's a bit different because your notaries apparently they're not lawyers and they just sign stuff. Right?
They oversee signing of official documents.
Exactly. So it's a bit different here. He always liked to do the contractual stuff, basically. That's what I heard of him. That's what I heard of him.
And Thomas Winkler sounds like a formidable foe.
Sometimes it's really helpful, I guess. For me, if I would be in a band, which I actually am, sometimes it's really helpful to have someone going through all those contracts and stuff, because there's a lot of very evil people in the music industry.
Yes.
Want to take away stuff from you, but it really helps.
Wow. I have to say, I don't think I would mess with Angus McSix or Thomas Winkler legally ever.
I've got nothing to do with legal stuff, and just to sword wielding if
That's true.
if I don't like someone.
But I'm sure that Thomas would come to your aid.
Yeah. If it's got to do with the pen, then he's the big guy.
Impressive. I later maybe if Thomas is around, I'd like to ask him some legal questions about some interesting things happening in music. But maybe we'll save that for a little bit later because I still
just let me know. We could get him anytime.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
I'd like to ask you about high notes and this extra register you almost seem to have. So you go along, you plug it along. You're like, yeah, I'm singing cool high notes. They're really gritty and they've got a lot of oomph and you've got nice line. You've got great support. And I'm like, yeah, he's totally maxed out right now. And then you go, you just get, it's like another register that opens up at the top of your voice. How do you think about that? Is it easy? Do you think about like flipping? Is there any special technique that you do when you go up for that extra extension of high?
Yeah, this technique is, if I tell you now, probably everyone would switch off. It's like squeeze something. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm not really sure. It's just, I think it's just a natural talent that I got. And I don't even think it has to do with my upgrade. Maybe this helped as well, the new armor and everything. It makes singing so much easier because the old armor was so tight so you can even breathe in it.
Oh, shoot.
And this one helps you breathing. And it makes me, able to sing even higher notes now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so if you're getting ready to sing a high note, what kind of breath do you take? How do you think about it? Do you just think like fill up as much as I can, or do you think breathe into the floor? What kind of breath do you take?
Yeah, it's more breathing into the floor. That really helps, stick to the ground with both legs and make wide legs. That also helps. If I breathe in too much, I don't think that I really can reach the highest notes. Of course, you need some air, of course.
Yes.
But if you overdo it, that probably will stop me from singing too high notes.
Because you feel like the air maybe would burst instead of staying controlled. Oh, that's fun. Do you think about any sort of positioning here, or do you just think about the pitch?
Usually, I don't think it goes high up. I just think it goes far to the front. And when I picture the note in my head, it always comes like I picture it. If I don't picture it, then usually it doesn't work that good, So really, you really have to have an idea of what you want to sing first, and then sing it.
Oh, a mental image of it. Okay. And are there certain vowels that you feel are easier to sing those super high notes? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think A and the open vowels. A, like that. That's the easy thing. And then it goes to E or ooh. Ooh, I hate ooh, because you gotta. You too?
It depends on how you're singing the top. If it was like a quiet top, ooh would be fun. If it's a loud, like death scream, it's not gonna happen on an ooh.
There you go. That's why I try to avoid, lyrics with oohs. And in English, it's not so hard to avoid it because there's not so many words on ooh, I guess. Well, we have you, but
like big words that pack a lot of might, which would be great words for high notes, right? Exactly. Fire. It's all really open.
That's a good word, to sing. Yeah, it needs to be open, especially when you do the high screams. Then it's much easier if it's an open vowel.
Yeah, I'm referring to a previous life, but I remember seeing this time when you were with a whole bunch of other warriors and united.
Oh,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And was watching through. I was like, oh yeah, this is so good, so good, so good. And then towards the very end, your predecessor just let out this high wail. Like it just carried over everything. I was like,
this one was high. Yeah, that's true.
Really high.
I think it's probably one of the highest things I've heard of him, to be honest.
I
don't know if I like it myself. It's just very high. It's very impressive and high, but personally, I prefer the bit lower highs.
Mm-hmm.
like the more powerful.
Yeah, that one had a squeal to it, essentially.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I might think of it more like a squealo that I hear in some operatic tenors.
Oh, yeah?
That was super impressive. But at the same time, you can only have so many of those.
Exactly. If you just sing all the time like that, it gets boring for the ears as well, for everyone.
Yeah, and stressful, and the tone quality doesn't have as much variation because it's super high.
Exactly. Yeah, I think singing is a lot about dynamics in the end. Sometimes it needs to be low and not so loud and cool, and other times it needs to be very explosive and high to set some marks, exclamation marks.
We've been talking about your incredible highs, but that doesn't mean at all that we shouldn't also talk about your lows, because ultimately these highs are awesome, but they should happen like a couple times in the song. Most of the time you need to be singing much lower with great enunciation, and that you still have to bring power to it because you are very powerful. I don't think you could sing in a way that isn't powerful.
I can if I want, but it just doesn't fit to the music, I guess. Did you listen to The Key to Eternity?
I did.
There is a part where I sing very smooth and not so powerful, let's say.
I want to hear. I think I heard that, and I heard it like there was a softer part in there, but I still think that
it was still powerful.
I think there was still some power. There was more tenderness, but
it was very tender.
Yeah, a part of me is like, there will be moments in the future, I bet, that will become even more tender.
Probably. If you want, I'll write you a ballad for the next album. Did it just say that?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe a bonus track.
I'm so down. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Cool. I really love ballads myself, to be honest.
Like what ballads do you love?
What kind of ballads?
Or is there a particular ballad, or a metal ballad in particular that you love?
Yeah, power metal ballads are usually very great. But I also like to listen to just YouTube music when I search for epic music. Usually there comes some cool orchestration stuff, which also is kind of a ballad, or at least you can sing like it was a ballad. And that's the thing I like most, to just sing to random songs I've never heard before and practice to that.
Oh, would you sing along with an opera song, or would you sing along with a country song? Sometimes there's not so much country.
Probably not a country song. No, country song, but an opera song, yeah. An opera song would be a thing I would do. I wouldn't do it in front of other people, because it's nonsense lyrics, of course, that just make up during singing. But actually, sometimes I should have recorded stuff because I thought, that actually sounded great. And then it was lost. I could never redo it.
I think that you have an advantage, knowing Thomas and having spent some time in Switzerland, where there are so many languages.
That's true.
Right? If you're going to sing along with opera, it's going to be Italian, German. It's not very
do you speak Italian? Or just sing?
A little bit. I sang a lot in Italian, and I studied it for a while, but my conversational Italian is not super great at this point. It was much better at one point in the past. French is my favorite.
Really? You speak French as well?
Yeah. I spent a year in France. Oui. Oui. J'ai un livre pour mon fils that's totally in French and is about the origins of his name. And it's really, really cute. And I read to him a lot in French. So
that's cool, yeah. Because I think most people in the USA don't even speak another language, right? So it's you're quite an exception there.
Yeah, I was an exchange student, though. So I knew from a very young age that I wanted to go out and really explore the world a whole bunch, and knew that I wanted to do music too. So I ended up going to France the year after high school. I studied in a French conservatory while I was there. I lived with French families. I even took the bac at one point. So that was fun, doing all the French testing. And it really really made my French pretty good. And then
it sounded like that.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, it sounded really good. So as far as I can tell, because I'm not a French expert, but in Switzerland we have to learn French in school. Mm-hmm. So I know quite a lot, but if you never speak it yourself, you feel unsure about, talking to someone who's actually from France.
But you have a lot of excuses to practice.
What would that be?
Well, hopefully, by people around you that speak French every now and then, maybe.
You mean for the shows, maybe?
Oh, that too.
For the shows, it would be great to actually speak a lot of languages in every country you play. I would love to just, speak the language. That'd be great.
Super awesome. But German is also a language that is sung a lot in opera. You think about the Magic Flute, for example.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though, do you think singing in German is nice? Because it's got a lot of those
yes.
sounds.
I have a lot of experience with this answer because I've sung a lot in German. So, yes is the big answer there. And that's because I think you can take the consonants from German and make them delicious. Like, right there, like, it's just, right, there are ways you can nudge those consonants so that they are almost sexy. And
it sounds kind of,
Yeah.
If you would be on a phone line, I don't think it's a thing nowadays, but 30 years ago, it used to be a thing, like this erotic phone lines.
Right.
You would have a perfect voice if you speak German.
Read a recipe in German, but just like have the nice nudge to those consonants, and people will be like, "Oh, so good."
That's cool. I never thought about that, but now that I heard it, it's true.
Right. Now you're going to speak it a little differently.
Yeah, where I live, we don't speak High German. We just have our, low Swiss German.
I didn't know
low
you
German,
called it
Swiss
low
German.
German.
It's a very different language, so Germans don't understand me, basically.
Yeah. Interesting. Isn't it close when it's written?
No, it's very different.
Very different. Oh, I didn't know they were that
Yes,
different.
it's very different.
It's
really a different language. So we understand Germans, obviously, because we have to learn it in school and watch TV and everything.
Uh-huh.
But if we speak Swiss German in Germany, Germans say, "What? Are you Chinese?"
What? A Chinese? Are you singing in a Chinese power metal band?
Oh, actually, I do. Maybe.
That's really interesting. So, talking about language, why, other than Scotland, why do you think English is the language that Angus McSix has chosen? Well, you have chosen to sing in.
You can't choose where you're born, right? So it's basically in Scotland. Most people speak English.
This is true.
Scottish English.
Yeah, Scottish.
I'm not that good in Scottish English because I just lived too long abroad. That's why.
Right. Was there ever times when you needed to be given a little aid on how to enunciate words for singing in particular?
Yeah. I was told a lot how to pronounce stuff when I was recording. For this particular record, so I did it all myself. So I recorded everything in my basement because now I finally got my own studio in my basement. Yes.
Yay!
It's such an improvement overall because you just can record anytime you want. You don't have to go to Germany to record for 5 days, and if you're sick in Germany and can't record, then you get stressed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sick here, you just say, I record next week. No problem.
It's huge. I feel like that is one of the big shifts that we've seen in the last 5 years on the planet Earth. That things have a lot of artists are able to record at home, including myself. And
you also record at home?
Yes, and it's just it's so convenient, and it really takes that weight that you're talking about off of singers of, go somewhere, travel there, perhaps not sleep well while you're there, which affects the voice. You could find out that you're allergic to something in the air that's there. There's so many factors that can affect the voice when you're traveling to go record somewhere or touring. So the recording at home option at any time of the day, oh my gosh, that's like a game changer.
Makes a big difference. And it's so great to finally talk to someone who understands this issue, because when you're traveling with other musicians who don't sing, they don't see this problem. It just, they're used to play because it works. When you play the guitar, you can play anytime if your fingers are not broken, basically. For the voice, it's very different. It really depends on a lot of things like temperature, for example, or as you said, maybe even if you're allergic to something, it can affect your voice in quite a big way. So
milk, if you're having problems with the milk protein, that could affect your voice.
Actually, I read that milk generally is not very good for the voice. Is it true?
I have seen a lot of conflicting things about that. The research on it actually showed that there was no definitive thing between various trials. Now, the part of the reason there was some stuff done at one point that was very much funded by companies against milk. So, you have to look at where the funding comes from for research.
Yes, that's true.
But ultimately, I think that science is currently saying that milk doesn't directly affect your voice. However, a lot of people have sensitivity to casein protein, and this can cause a reaction that creates more mucus. And I still have heard other people say that they think like the sliminess of it. And there's some really good singers I know that have talked about that and how they just stay away from it. They find that they sing better. So the science is not backing it up a ton at the moment. But yeah, I don't think that means it isn't unreasonable to say when I drink milk, I don't sing well. That definitely happens to some people.
Yeah. I used to drink milk actually for a lot of recordings in the past, until I found out it probably is not the best thing. But I don't think it's a big effect. It's probably just staying for a short time, and then it goes away. If you sing for half an hour, it will be gone, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. So
the worst thing to do is probably drink alcohol for me. Because it dries out the voice. And there's also the spicy stuff is not the best.
Yeah. Okay, so with alcohol, is it something, can you drink a beer right before recording and that's fine? Or is it like the night before when you drink a whole bunch and the next day? What's the worst situation?
The worst would be right before. I'd say like half an hour before. That would really not help in general.
That
one's beer for me is worse than, for example, if I drink Jack and Coke.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know why this is. Maybe it's also got to do with the gluten. Because I'm also not really liking gluten myself, so might have to do something with that as well.
Did your blood test? I mean, I think it's amazing that you would let a doctor test the blood of a prince. So did this show that you had some gluten sensitivity as well?
Yeah, exactly. It did.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to avoid this as well. But
what do you eat?
Really bad. Meat.
There you go.
Fish. Yeah. Of course. Barbecue. Whenever I come to the USA, I'm really looking forward to some great barbecue.
That's amazing. You would come back from the dead for barbecue.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Maybe, possibly. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely restrictions in there, but that's fun. Oh, yeah. I've done various elimination diets in the past, and it's really interesting to just explore different types of food for a while. So I feel like.
What did you do?
Well, when I was pregnant, I had to take some things out. Obviously, honestly, just not having alcohol for a very long time. Made it a great opportunity to explore lots of different kinds of mocktails, and that was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I liked exploring that a bunch, and of course, I explored a lot more herbal teas because caffeine isn't something you're supposed to have when you're pregnant too. So
that's good for the voice as well, right?
Yeah. Herbal tea is definitely good. Yeah, totally good. Having less caffeine can be helpful. Again, people's bodies are different, but yes, we know that one can be helpful. But then I also, at one point in life, was doing an elimination diet as part of a thing for my dad who was having some skin problems. And so we eliminated like everything. Milk was gone. All tree nuts were gone at one point. I think we even got rid of fish at one point. Gluten was absolutely gone. Processed sugars gone. It was very, very intense. Alcohol was out at that time as well. And so
hard times.
Yeah, but it's amazing what other things are still available. So that was pretty cool. Very, very cool. And
yeah, I mean, it's probably good to not stay with the same stuff anyway for your whole life, because usually when you just focus on something, then something else is missing in your body system, like all the vitamins and that kind of stuff. So I try for myself to just eat a big variety of everything that I should eat, like vegetables, but yeah, I actually like vegetables, meat, fish, and everything that just comes across.
Do you have a favorite vegetable?
I don't think so. I actually enjoy most vegetables. I'm a bit more picky with fruits when it comes to fruit. Yeah. I think my favorite fruit is, I'm not sure, is it a fruit like avocado?
Yeah,
it is a fruit,
avocado is
right?
actually a fruit, yeah.
It is, yeah. Exactly. I think avocado is my favorite fruit beside bananas.
Oh my gosh. And those are great foods to feed a baby too.
I'm a big baby, I guess.
You're a big baby. I was laughing because that's one of the ones we almost always have in hand. Obviously, right now I'm thinking a lot about what he is. It's a big life change. So, yes.
Oh, yeah, I believe. Do you get enough sleep and everything? Because you still look really, like you would be very fit.
I've been very deliberate about trying to get back in shape and everything afterwards, but he's currently going through a sleep regression, so at the moment I'm really tired. But
yeah, that's a phase that goes like 3 months or something, maybe.
Yeah, it said the stuff I've read says 3 to 6 weeks. So I'm hoping that it.
All right.
He was getting into a good spot, and then recently it's kind of just been a little more rough. And teething also happens every now and then. But you know what? Ultimately, like, it is so wonderful being a mom. One of my favorite things is all of the sounds that he's exploring. Like every sound that I make, including when I'm playing with death growls. Okay. He's sitting there looking at me, giggling, and trying to make the sounds back.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So cute. It's so cute. So when you guys meet, you'll have to sing some great notes at him and see what he sings back, because he really loves
the high notes, you mean?
Yeah, the high notes.
I'm sure he can do it. He probably can do it.
He can sing higher than I can right now. Well, scream higher. It's real high.
It gets really stressful for the ears. Sometimes
it does. Oh, but actually, I wanted to come back talking about your singing once more. The low notes. Do you think about supporting those different than you think about supporting your high notes?
Yeah, I actually do. I can't really tell what exactly I'm doing when I'm singing, because I'm not a professional singer as you are. So you studied it for a lot of years, I guess. When I sing, it's just a feeling, and I try to always keep my voice, so how can I say that in English? Without too much gravel, especially when I'm singing low. Because in higher notes, it doesn't really matter, but for the lower notes, I think it's not really good for the voice if I do put too much gravelly tones in my voice.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
My brain is going, ooh, why is this way? And I've been thinking a lot about the constriction that causes that gravel that you're talking about. If you're singing a really low note, often you want a little more openness in the whole chain. So it might be more difficult, or just feel like it might not feel good to put that kind of gravel into a low note, because you would need a constriction for it.
Mhm.
Maybe.
I mean, if you do the growling stuff, of course it's very gravelly, but it's a different kind of gravel. When I try to sing a note, there I try to keep it as clean as possible when I sing low.
Good. And when you think about your breath, you're not thinking about it being in your feet as much when you're singing low too, or is that still applying?
Never thought about that, to be honest. Because the low stuff singing is a bit less intense than the high stuff. Of course, with the high stuff, you always have to, have enough stamina and really think of what you're doing. And when you sing low, it's a bit less like that. It's more like you try not to hurt the voice by putting too much gravel in. But I can't really say if I try to think about breathing through my feet. Would this be a good thing if you sing low?
I don't know. Some people, I think, find that useful because they will feel like they're still really grounded. I've heard of a lot of different strategies for how people support low notes, and I think, honestly, that it depends on how you want to sing your low notes. So
probably does. Since I'm not a bass, so I really don't sing that much low notes anyways. So it's probably the reason why I never really thought about it. But if you're singing low notes generally, it's probably quite important to know what you're doing. So for me, it's as a tenor, it's more like the higher stuff that really counts, especially in power metal.
That and amazing enunciation, because you got to get your story across the first time. It's tough. I think it's really impressive how well you enunciate with especially the high notes. It's like,
thank you.
It's intense. Well, I'm really curious, talking about the way different foods affect you and all of these different things that you can do to support your voice. Do you have any other tips in general how you stay in really great shape, especially while you're touring?
Yeah, for the touring part, it's the most important thing is sleep, having enough sleep. Because if the body is tired, then the voice is tired as well, and people can hear it. Then the other thing, of course, is for me, like I said, not drink alcohol. I really try to avoid it totally when I'm on tour. I just drink teas or water, which is a bit boring, but that's how it is. As a singer, it's always the toughest job in the whole band, I guess. Besides that, I would just say, just be yourself and try not to be too nervous when you go on stage. Because what I found out is when I'm not sure about what I'm doing, then usually the voice will fade after a while of singing, especially because you will push too hard.
Yeah.
For example, that happens when I can't hear myself, or when I can't hear the music very well. So then I feel unsure about what I'm doing, and that's the worst thing that can happen.
So
the best thing is
when you're setting up your in-ears, do you have you tend to pipe yourself fairly loudly through that balance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important for me to hear myself. If I don't have the security of the in-ears or good active monitors, then it can occur that I'm not really sure to go on stage and make a big show, So when I feel confident about my hearing and everything, then I can also make the great show that I usually try to put on.
Is there anything a person can do ahead of time to build that confidence?
Say it again, sorry.
Is there anything a person could do ahead of time to build the confidence? Like, you're talking about these things that happen on stage or that you set up maybe in the sound check, but sometimes that's not under a singer's control, and the nerves sometimes might become more because things are out of control. So is there anything you could do ahead of time that would help reduce the nerves and make you more confident?
Yeah, of course, if you really know what you're doing on stage, if you have a planned, not only plan to sing what you want to sing, but also plan the show that you want to do, then this definitely helps, because then there is not so many surprises that will happen on stage. It's always important to reduce the surprises, because there's enough going on anyway in front of you. And as a singer, it's always important to connect with the audience. That's what I try to do all the time, not just sing, but also have a connection to my audience. And when you can build that up, then usually they also have a sort of power that they give to you, and then you sing better yourself.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. That power that the audience gives is that
it comes back.
It's a real thing. I know that you and I both live in a world of fantasy most of the time, but this is something that is in the world of fantasy, and it's in the world of Thomas Winkler. It's everywhere. There's a real true energy that an audience has that can be communicated to performers, and performers can communicate that energy back, and there can be a sort of leveling up that happens as they're being exchanged.
Absolutely. Yep. That's the most important part about any show, having a great audience that goes full power, full throttle.
Have you ever written something about that energy and asked the audience to contribute energy to a song?
I mean, I don't ask them directly to contribute more energy because this would feel a bit lame, I guess. But I always try to involve the audience in the songs and let them participate. For example, the most common thing in metal is hey, hey, hey. Yep. This always works everywhere. Yes. Because everywhere they understand it. But there's other ways you can do it, and you have to be a bit creative about this. This is actually one of the most important parts about being a singer. It's just to be creative about what you're doing on stage. Not just sing the songs, but interpret the songs and always try to give the audience a new way of listening experience.
Yeah, totally. Okay, and part of that experience is how you design your set list as well.
Yeah, true.
Can you talk a little bit about how you would design a set list that's going to help you as a singer, right? Because there's like a certain warm-up and peaking that's going to happen in a live show. But also, how would you design a set that's going to help the audience with the flow and the story during a live show?
Generally, I'd say it's important to have songs that people love, like the singles usually of a band, and start with a good song, maybe even one of your best songs, so people are there from the start. Especially when you're like an opening act for someone, and people are just standing there before, and then the show starts. They're not hot yet. You have to make them hot, and you have to make them go in. And you start with a powerful song that I love. Then, you can calm down a little bit after maybe the second or third song. So it doesn't have to go full throttle for 2 hours. Sometimes it's also good to have some lows, like some ballads, for example, right? But not too many ballads for a live show in metal, because otherwise people will go to sleep and have a beer and that kind of stuff. Towards the end, it's important to also bring another energetic set of songs, because then this will be what people will have stuck in their head for the rest of the night. So you usually bring the best song at last. And as a singer now, it's probably important to not blow your voice with the first song. So also get warm before the show. And if you feel good, then you can start very, very powerful. If you don't feel warmed up so good, you probably try to hold back a bit with the most powerful stuff.
This is a good point. Don't blow it out in the first song.
Yes, I mean it can happen especially if you can't hear yourself, as I said before. That's the killer for most singers, I guess. So,
kind of piggybacking on that, what song would you close a show with today? Right? I mean, you've been touring, and you have more tours coming up. You've been touring with Feuerschwanz, and you have, I believe, some more tours in Europe this summer and more tours planned next year. Lots of touring. What is your ideal song to close a show with today?
Today? Like now? We don't have that many songs here with Angus McSix, so we have to play all the songs we have for the Wacken set, for example, because it will go for 60 minutes. And our CD actually is only 45 minutes. So there will be a lot of talking and playing and jumping around on stage involved.
Maybe some laser dinosaurs somewhere.
Exactly. And maybe even some cover songs, but yeah, well, we'll see about that. Maybe. But ending, as I said before, ending set would be the best to have the most famous song at last, or a song that's really that you want to have people to stuck in their head
that's
for the rest of the day.
That's sticky, right?
It has to be catchy, that's for sure. Yes. And we ended our set, which was just half an hour set. We ended with Right to Hell.
The ghosts of nightmares lurking here, all creatures I may die. Flee from us, afraid to die once more. Let's go down! Right on, right on. That can't bring me back to life. Right on, right on. Make my quest and now revive. I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna ride to the bright blood moon and sky. I'm gonna ride to hell to fight to break the spell. Of death come try me on my ride. I'm gonna ride to the bright blood moon and sky. I'm gonna ride to hell to fight to break the spell. Of death come try me on my ride.
It's
thing with
really
this song-
energetic.
It's very energetic and a great song. I think it's even one of my favorites, if not the favorite of the album. But when we played the tour, nobody knew the song, so this was interesting. But it worked because it's got this part, you know. So everyone can do that.
Oh, that's
it's a great
cool.
party song.
That's smart. Oh, that's super smart. I think it's really helpful for any artists that are currently trying to figure out, like, they're about to go on their first tour. Maybe they have a limited selection of songs that they can do. How do they arrange that, you know, other than just the original album order? And this is really great advice.
Yeah, I hope it helps. It really, you have to figure it out yourself as a band. What's your perfect song to end? It's a different one for every band, I guess. But for us, it worked like that. Yeah,
that's cool. I confess, I also found a fan order of your album that was really interesting to listen to, and the way they'd switched around the order of the songs. I thought, oh, that's strange. Yeah, if I listen to it in this way, oh, I see why they did that. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to ask you about live shows, was to see how you do it with that and how you might switch orders of songs around. And I think it's really indicative that song order is a craft of its own. And different people are going to prefer different kinds of song orders, but ultimately, you are very experienced with live shows in particular. And I think that this advice of ending with this catchy, energetic song to get people to hook into it, that's pure gold.
Especially if you have just a short set time, it's important to bring the bangers, you know, bring the hit songs.
Yes.
If you have a longer set, you can also go very different. I think the order that you're talking about is probably the lower order, right?
It just said, maybe it said fan order. I found a couple different things that said fan order. So maybe it's that one. I don't know. It was interesting because I heard the album first and through order, right? In the order that's on there. And I didn't listen to anything before. No, that's not true. I listened to the Laser Dinosaur one.
That was the first song we heard. And then
I recorded Master of the Universe and then did whole album. So that it's interesting to hear the whole album and like a different, when you go through the story in a different order, it's kind of cool. So I was just like, oh, whoa, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it is, right? Actually, I wanted to do the album in a completely different order than it is now, because I wrote the lyrics and I wanted to have it in the lower order.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, Zebulon as the evil guy said no. And I said, all right, if you don't want to do it, let's not do it. Because now we have the more party songs in front, and the more traditional power metal songs in the back.
Got it.
Yeah, that's how it is. And power metal fans just love the second half, and the more modern people like the front half, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's good to appeal to two different audiences, though. Important.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the fantasy nerds just go and reorder everything and say, this is what we...
Yeah, we should make a special edition, right?
Right? Oh my gosh.
With a different order.
There you go. And then add a ballad. I have a few questions for your good friend Thomas Winkler that I want to ask, including some patron questions, but I want to ask Thomas like his expertise on law and something that's in the modern current world right now. So I was wondering, can we chat with him?
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna get him. Okay, he's next door.
Good. Awesome. All right. Cool.
See you in a bit.
See you in a bit. See you in a bit.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey, Thomas. Always so nice of you to join.
It's great to see you finally again.
Yeah, lovely to see you too. Oh man.
Quite a while. Last time was it? I don't know. Was it Bloodsuck?
Bloodsuck. Yeah, man. That was a while ago, and I got to see you and chat with you, and then I also got to see Angus McSix at the time and watch him perform. It was really, really quite impressive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great costume, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm.
Dig it.
This is in honor of all that Angus McSix is currently doing. Very, very, very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I've just met him, and he wanted to say bye to you because he had to hurry up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's got like universes to save essentially. So
that's his job, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Right. Well, we were talking about you and how you have this law background, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's this thing I've been thinking about. I want to talk with a musician and lawyer about and get your insights on it. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar with Ed Sheeran, right?
Yeah, for sure. He's the biggest artist on Spotify. Everyone knows him.
You did a cover with Feuerschwanz of I See Fire, right?
That is true.
And if we should die tonight, then we should all die together. Raise a glass of wine.
Oh, sorry, that was it.
Well,
I guess you have
that is true.
Yeah, there you go. there was an Angus that did a cover at one point.
Yeah, it was Angus.
Yeah.
But we get mixed up quite commonly.
I mean, sometimes you wear shirts with his name on it, and so people call you by that.
Yeah, I just look similar, that's why.
So I wanted to ask you, there's a big lawsuit that's happening on copyright with Ed Sheeran, and essentially, he has a song, Thinking Out Loud, very famous song, lots of awards. And then there's another song by Marvin Gaye called Let's Get It On, also lots of awards, much, much older song. And right now, Ed Sheeran is being sued, saying that he copied some of the things in Marvin Gaye's song. And the things that are being said are copied are like essentially the chord progression, which is mostly, I think, a set of 4 chords. I think it's 1, 3, 4, 5, and then some rhythmic elements. And it's true, if you put one song on top of the other and you play them at the same time, you can hear like that there's some structure that's definitely similar. But my question for you is, with both your law background and your musical background, at what point do we say something is copyright that's a musical building block? And at what point do we say, oh, no, that's just general knowledge that all musicians should have access to?
Yeah, there's no fixed law to that. And it really depends from country to country as well. So every country got their own copyright law. Essentially, if you just have 4 chords in a song and someone else uses those 4 chords, it is not really a copyright issue, because I think I've seen a video, maybe you've seen it too, of the 2 comedian guys who play every number one hit of the last 20 years. Using the same four chords.
Right.
Yeah, that's how music works, you know. But I think generally you can say if your average listener would say this is this song and can recognize the song, then it might be dangerous. Mm-hmm. So the chord goes from a regular normal listener from the viewpoint of that person, but of course it really depends on the judge as well.
That's true.
Because they have different opinions sometimes.
So ultimately, it sounds like something that might be fairly subjective. It
is. Copyright law is very subjective, and that's why it's very expensive to go to court for that. Usually, especially in the USA or in England, you know, it's like can cost you $1 million to go to court.
Wow. I mean,
Switzerland is very different.
Really?
Here
How so?
Yeah, because the court system is much cheaper here. So if you want to go to court, you maybe spend 20,000 for such a thing that will cost, like I said, 1 million in the USA.
And why is it not as expensive in Switzerland?
Hard to tell. I think the lawyers are maybe a little bit less expensive than in the USA, but still quite expensive. But it's more that the court itself they don't have those high tax, those high rates that they cost, the fees, that they cost in the USA or in England. It's a very different system, the English law system. It's a very, very different story. Also, in England or in the USA, you have the court law mostly. So the case law, it's called, right? Mm-hmm. So it goes from case to case, and there's not many rules written down compared to the European law. In European law, we just have our laws, and the judges have to go by those laws. And it's a bit the opposite way in the USA.
Yeah.
They go by cases, right?
Yeah, they have a lot of, I think there's kind of a combination, but lots of cases where you quote a previous case all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Question for you. Do you have a little more lighting? It's starting to get a little whoa. Wow, there you go. Yeah, that's much lighter. Okay, awesome. So I feel like Angus McSix is shining on you at this moment.
I even got Sabulon.
Oh, it's so good. It's like a real life Skeletor.
I was wearing near my heart to see even my evilest enemies.
Keep your enemies close, right?
Yeah, true.
Amazing. So I'm also curious with this copyright and the thoughts about musical building blocks. At what point are we going to say that AI, when it's trying to recreate the sound of a particular artist, I think there's an AI that created the sound. Was it Nirvana? Chris Cornell? I think it was Nirvana. AI recreated or made a song that was essentially in the style of Nirvana. When do we start saying that AI is using copyrighted material as it's completely learning just from other songs? Is there a moment we're going to have to cross in copyright land with that?
The thing is, usually laws are a bit behind the technical developments.
Yes. And
this will be for sure a thing that everyone will have to deal with in the future. Also, the judges themselves. So I don't know how the case law for this will be, because there is no case law yet. So this will be an interesting thing to observe how this will develop. Personally, I think it really, in the end, it will boil down to the human thing. So if you let the AI generate something for you and then use it, and it sounds exactly the same as another song, it's still the same. It's still a copyright issue. Mm-hmm. But if it writes a song that is nearly identical but not exactly, then we're in the same problem that we have now. So it really depends on the judge in the end. Then again.
That's a good answer. Would you want to be part of the deciding factor that helps determine cases like that?
No. No, it's a hard job being a judge. A good friend of mine, he's a judge of the High Court for criminal law.
Mhm.
So he sometimes tells me a bit about the cases they have, and I really wouldn't want to deal with that kind of stuff. I'm very happy that I'm just doing contractual stuff because people there are usually nice people.
This is true. It doesn't get into the really life or death, or perhaps life or death of life savings.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
It's more about finances, and that's more my kind of stuff.
Oh, that's really interesting. There's a piece of me that feels so scared that you're going to have somebody who doesn't have a musical background making decisions for things like this. And that worries me. But on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that often they'll bring experts in to really testify well on these things. Like, I mean, there's a great example of Dee Snider being brought to a trial at one point and just speaking extremely well. And I think that if they bring the right people in to talk about it, it will be very, very helpful. And then maybe somebody who's not a music expert will be able to decide well.
Yeah, usually the judges don't really decide themselves all the things. They decide in the end, of course, but they usually, as you say, have their experts on all the topics because there's the thing is so wide, the variety of cases, that it's not possible to be an expert everywhere. Like the only experts on this planet are probably the politicians. They know everything, right?
I'm gonna laugh really hard at that one. I think the real experts are the people that support us, and I think they're the ones that deserve lots and lots of recognition. So I'm gonna talk about patrons who have a bunch of questions for you.
Oh, all right.
So I even have them written down. I know I have like, how many pages? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages.
Woo!
I know
That's a lot.
And that's just the stuff that's printed. I went and did all that.
The bad questions are not printed.
We won't talk about those.
I'm looking forward to the good questions. And let's do it.
Melanie Thomas wants to know, as a fellow cat slave, I often find one of my cats comes to listen when I sing, whereas my friend's cat puts a paw over her mouth every time she does. How does your cat react to your amazing vocals when you're practicing at home?
That's a very good question, actually, because I got 3 cats myself, 2 of which are not interested in music at all. They just ignore me. But then the normal cat, basically, the one from the farm cat, she's always coming nearby me because she probably thinks I'm hurt or something. I start singing, and she really comes like that and looks at me. It's very confused, and that's kind of cute. I really like that.
It's like, does she ever put a paw on you, like a paw that just goes like, "Are you okay?"
She doesn't put a paw on me, but she comes nearby and somehow tries to help me, it seems.
You must be in pain. That was a really tough high note.
Yeah. Probably sounds like that, yeah.
That's amazing. Arno Naderpult wants to know, I really enjoyed Thomas's collaboration of Nanowar of Steel, Valhalla. That was so funny. So, what was that like? And are there more such collaborations coming up?
Well, it's still possible that there will be collaborations coming up. Actually, I have something that I'll do with a certain band. I cannot say yet. But generally, I'm a bit laid back with collaboration stuff because especially our management said, you can't do everything. And that's probably true. So I really would like to be in every band that asks me, and can you sing for us? And I would say yes, for sure. But I have to limit because my time is also limited.
Yeah, very much so. And additionally, there's so much more music to write. to continue the journey and help with your friend Angus McSix's journey.
That's true as well.
That's awesome. Let's see. Carl wants to know, is the vocal warm-up routine as epic and distinctive as the vocals on stage and in the studio, or does it follow a similar pattern? Does it follow a similar pattern? So I really like it. He says, is the vocal warm-up routine, meaning your vocal warm-up routine, because we all assume that it's pretty epic.
It is actually. I think I mentioned it earlier, Ben. The thing is, when I warm up, I like to listen to songs that I've never heard before. I just search for epic music on YouTube and try to find the best orchestral stuff, film music, whatever. It just has to be music without vocals, of course. And then I try to sing to it. And I think that's the most epic music usually that I've ever heard. Unfortunately, I never recorded because probably it would be pretty great, except my singing.
I've never heard of another vocalist doing that, just where they put on totally new music and just sing over the top for their warm-up. I think that's kind of brilliant. It really helps you with improvisation. But
yes,
wow.
It does help for sure. Of course, if you're a specialist, a professional, then you have your own exercises that you do every time. But I just like to do new stuff each time, and it kind of helps, I think, to add to the atmosphere, especially. When you're before a show, you have to get into the role, become Angus McSix. Did it just say that?
Who knew it?
Oh no! Now everyone knows. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's a really cool idea. I feel like I'm gonna suggest that to somebody because I think that'd be really beneficial. That's really interesting. Okay.
I hope it is.
Thank you. Okay, Andrew Warwick wants to know, how did you come to the idea of awesome costumes rather than just the look that every other band has? And was it part of the plan all along?
Yeah. Also, this question, I think we already discussed it a little bit. When I was a child, I was a big fan of The Legend of Zelda, and still am. So it was always a dream to play in a green suit. That was the reason I was searching for a green suit on the internet when I started out as Angus. And after that, of course, I needed an upgrade. And what's cooler than green? It's just gold. That's the reason.
Well, I guess those are colors that go together in Zelda.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I meant to ask before, are there other video games you're currently playing or board games or D&D?
I mean, I'm a big Nintendo fanboy, still am. When I was a child, I was really, there's just Nintendo, everything else I hated, PlayStation, Xbox. Really, it wasn't even around when I started out. It was Sega. Sega was a thing there. Besides playing Nintendo games, I didn't really do many of those card games or board games. But I once got one from my uncle. I don't know how old I was, maybe 10 years old. It was called The Claymore Saga.
Oh.
I don't know if it's a well-known game or not, but it's a very big board game with those small, tiny figures,
Figures?
So
and it features a sword, a claymore.
Yeah. It featured a lot of swords, a lot of weapons in general. So it was very epic to play.
I feel like there's a theme here. Features a sword. Okay.
It is epic.
Right? All right, Tim Vinsel wants to know, dear Thomas, first of all, I love the new album. It really delivers the good old Glory Hammer feeling we all love. Great that you continue. And I have to echo that. I love the continuation. Thank you so much for doing that. And
thank you.
Question. Your new band members all play or played in various other bands. How did you find each other? Did you also send your individual tracks via the internet, or did you record together in a studio? Which you talked about some, but I'd like to know more about how they recorded too.
Yeah, now we're talking about the actual people behind the real characters.
And can you say their names?
I'll try my best because, Seep, in German it's pronounced Seep. In English, you would say Seep, maybe because 2 E's.
Yeah.
Seep Leverman from Ordnogan. He contacted me actually one day after the split with my old band. And he said, you don't want to do a new band with me? I said, well, let me sleep over it. And the next day I said yes.
That was a quick turnaround. Wow.
Yeah, it was. Because I knew Seb, not personally, but I knew his work that he's done and that he was a hit machine, So I thought, with this guy, we can really achieve something cool.
Awesome.
And then I had the idea to bring a girl to the band because I thought this would make a cool character as well.
Yes.
With the queen of the laser Amazons. So Talia Bellaseca, as she's called in Italian. I have met her, well, I've not met her personally as well, but I've seen her playing on stage at Sabaton Open Air. I just walked by the stage and saw her and said, she plays really well. Also has a great charisma on stage. And I remembered that. Then I wrote her on Facebook and asked her, and she said yes instantly. That's pretty cool. And then we have our drummer Manu Lotter. He played in Rhapsody of Fire before. And
also a great
band. Yeah, it's also a great band. And State produced this band with this in his studio for like 3 albums, I think. And that's why he knew Manu Lotter before already. So he asked him.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, sweet. And I love the way that it's just got so much diversity in it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it does, definitely. Yeah.
It's really good. Yay. Okay. And it's, I really love what you guys have done together so far. I think it's going to have a lot of longevity.
Yeah, let's hope so. And I believe in that too, because everyone is very motivated and there's great things to come.
And fun. It's really fun to see the videos.
Yes.
Jacob Bingham wants to know, as a touring musician, I'm sure you've had your share of adverse performing conditions. What was the most borked venue setup you had to perform at, and how did you respond or deal with it?
I think it's always really bad if you don't have an actual stage to perform on. We've had that with my old band in Australia somewhere. It's called Dubbo. It's just a random place in the desert. And like 60 people showed up. There was no stage and everything. So, that was quite crap.
And what did you do? How did you deal with it?
We just did it, Like when you start out as a band, you're happy to play anyway. And even under the worst circumstances. And you have to sleep on floors of fans. Drive 10 hours in a small van with 10 people who stink, It's not really funny to tour sometimes, especially when you're a small band. But nowadays, of course, we have a bit more comfort and everything's a bit better. So it's quite funny now.
You just get to talk about the stories that shaped you.
Exactly. Yeah, hard times.
All right, I saved this question for last because I really love the way that Quirky Uncle Dave has formed it. So Quirky Uncle Dave wants to know, key changes are an important part of power metal. So I could imagine you writing a motivational book called Change Your Key, Change Your Life. What advice would your book contain about dealing with change?
Well, since, I've made quite a big change from, 5 to 6, I've experienced it myself. So in the end, it's always important to strive for the best version of yourself. And if you can achieve that, then you've made the change of your life.
You're so quotable. You do need to write a book. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well,
wow.
But I'm looking forward to that book anyway. If he ever writes it, then I'll probably read it.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Okay. I love those responses. Thank you. Thank you. And shout out to Patron Soup. That was a really good set of questions. I have just a couple more things to ask you. And the first is, how can we support you? Where can we buy your album? what are the tours coming up? Can we come to see you for these things? How can we support you?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it really depends where you live. But of course, I would be glad if you could come to a show of us. This summer, we play in 10 festivals. And especially if you dress up like you are now, Elizabeth, I really appreciate that, seeing people like that in front of stage and just, going crazy to your music. That's the best support that you can give.
Ooh, and can we buy merch somewhere? Is there?
Yeah, actually, there is a shop that we just released right now, and shop.angusmcsix.net. There you'll find some merchandise where you can support the band. We'll have more items coming in the coming weeks and months, of course, but right now we have I think 4 shirts on there. And if you like a motive, buy it, because the net gain comes directly to the band, so we can make bigger productions in the future with more real dinosaurs.
That takes a lot of production, getting the real dinosaur. I mean, you got to go to Mosquito first.
Yes.
Right, you got to find that somewhere first of all in some amber, and then you got to extract that blood. You got to clone it essentially, and then you have to figure out what you're going to feed it as it's growing up. Right, if you're going to teach it how to shoot lasers at some point, then I feel that it's got to have some training time. So it's got to be kept alive for quite a long while.
You're talking about mosquitoes
and dinosaurs.
I understood mosquito, but it said dinosaur.
Full Jurassic Park right there. Amazing. Okay, and then last question. I want to know what you think the best thing and the worst thing is about being. I usually say your profession, but that I want to know about the singing side in particular. So, what's the best and worst thing about being a singer?
The best thing about being a singer is to please the audience and to feel the energy of the audience that's in front of you. I think that's the most beautiful thing that you can experience.
And what's the worst?
The worst would probably be the opposite. If you had people just standing there like that and looking at you like that, like, what's that? That would be a nightmare for a singer, for me especially.
Totally.
Besides that, I think the worst thing that can happen is if you get sick on a tour that goes like forever, 6 weeks in a bus, and then someone has to cough, and oh shit, now it's going to happen, and a few days later you feel it as well. That's not nice.
No, that would suck. I think I feel really bad for singers that have had long COVID in particular, when you could have long COVID go for an entire tour.
Yeah, that would be the worst. But it also a normal cold even is really bad already.
Yeah. A normal cold, most people are like, oh, it's a couple days, but for singers, sometimes that can last a couple weeks.
Exactly. If you have to sing every night, someone's calling me right now. Oh.
Aha. They're like, you should be done. You should be done with this interview.
Oh, really? Is it that late already?
It is. I have to say, I took you overtime, and I thank you very, very much. And I would like to make a final cheer. A cheer to you.
Yes.
A cheer to Angus McSix. May we have many more journeys.
It was a big pleasure talking to you. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing you in person.
Yes.
In a few weeks already.
In a few months, yeah. We'll be there soon.
Yeah, in August, right?
Yeah. All right. Cheers. Thank you.
All right, Elizabeth. Have a good one.